Hey guys, hope everything's going well. You guys know the drill. Smash the like button, subscribe if you haven't, and comment down below. Follow me on Instagram at AIH underscore sports. Okay, today I'm going to be talking about the Hall of Fame strategy I used to have when I first came back into this hobby in 2018. And my thought process was okay, I should try to avoid buying junk as much as possible. There's no way avoiding it. I mean, everyone's going to make mistakes, but the goal is, 70% of the time find cards that you'll hit a home run. 30% of the time you're speculating and then you could potentially hit a grand slam. And in 2018, I started looking into Derek Jeter cards, and the reason was I knew he'd be a first ballot Hall of Famer in 2020, which actually didn't happen, I believe, till 2021 because of the whole pandemic, or he wasn't announced at Cooperstown, I believe. And I was looking at Jeter cards. I wanted to get ahead of the crowd. But the thing was that people were just aggressively buying Jeter cards. I believe in 2018 and 2019, I was continuously buying Jeter cards as well. And then I thought to myself, okay, I expect people may buy Peyton Manning cards for the 2021 year because he's going to be inducted to the Hall of Fame. So then I started buying his cards like February, March of 2 years ago. And it actually 2019. Wow, it was almost 3 years ago. And I was trying to get ahead of the curve, and then you slowly but steadily saw interest rates going down, and once again you had a different cycle, or you had a cycle where you had people who were young and they came back into the hobby as adults when they had more money. Before they were dependent on their mothers and fathers. Now they had their own job, they could buy their own cards, they could do whatever. So you had that cycle going on. And you had the benefit of low interest rates and all this pent up demand. And the way that I looked at it was I really didn't want to buy too much hype. I wanted to play it safe. I was a little more conservative in terms of my investing in sports cards. So it was mainly like a Hall of Fame strategy. And then I thought to myself, okay, I should potentially look at Brady cards. This was later that year. And I was thinking, okay, Jeter cards have gone up like crazy. I remember people with no reviews on eBay. They were just selling PSA 8s of Derek Jeters, which you could have bought for maybe $200, $300 earlier that year. And they're going all the way for like $600, $700. And people with no reviews were selling them and people were bidding them like crazy. I'm like, whoa, there's something going on here. 20, I believe 18, 2019. So then I thought, okay, who else is not being, who else isn't bought that should be bought? And then I was looking at Brady cards. This was not a Brady card that I bought back then, but I think I bought in 2020. But I wanted to add to my collection for sure. And who knows, it may have gone up. But it's only a PSA 5. It doesn't look bad for a PSA 5. It's a 2000 Pacific Paramount Tom Brady, number 138 PSA 5. I don't think I've showed it in my videos. And if I did, it was last year early on when I started this channel. And I was just buying, like I said, 236 cards left and right because I expected, okay, what will the behavior be? I wanted to get ahead of the crowd because once the crowd wants to buy the Brady's, then the prices will be way too high for me to buy from an investment perspective. So I was buying them, a few $100. And then all of a sudden you had the pandemic later on. Brady had a crappy year with the Patriots his last year. But then the pandemic came, all this funny money came, and then bada bing, bada boom, his cards slowly but steadily started to go up. And then he won the Super Bowl. And that added the premium to his card. So Brady cards, I think, what started to go crazier right around December of 2020 because they went on this crazy winning streak. They were 7-5. They got slaughtered by the Bears. Tom Brady, I remember, didn't know how many downs there were on this one play. It was bad, and then Tom Brady pulled it off. He did something remarkable, like Tom Brady always does. So his cards just went up. But before all of that, too, I was looking 2019 Hall of Fame strategy. Scherzer, I knew he was the first ballot Hall of Famer. I also had his UH 220 card. Aaron Rodgers, same thing, 2019, 2020. I was surprised Aaron Rodgers was playing at such a high level last year. I guess LaFleur's schemes are pretty damn good. That's why he's succeeding. I don't think that's why he always went after Mike McCarthy. Like behind the scenes, he used to always say that he was a low IQ football coach. And the other cards that I was looking at, and I've showed you many times, 2005 Topps, number 677, Justin Verlander. This is a PSA 6. This is one that I got graded from PSA. But I bought a bunch of PSA 10s in 2019. And it was my Hall of Fame strategy. I didn't expect the cards to go up. I expected it to go up potentially in a decade. And I got the returns within a few years. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. And I expected maybe a 10-15% annual return. And I saw all these flippers come in, just wanted to make the quick buck. I'm like, do I want to aggressively be buying when they're buying? No, I want to aggressively be selling when they're buying. And there is still plenty of demand as of this moment, which I think is going to change potentially this year. And that's why I'm still selling some of the GOAT cards that I have, some of the potential Hall of Famer cards that I still have, just to get that decent return, decent ROI. Now, what I'm thinking is down the road with the Hall of Fame, all these players, you see all these guys that I probably would have been buying right now, but because of the pandemic, because of the stimulus checks, because of all this funny money that came into the hobby, you artificially increase the demand. So it's somewhat screwed up my strategy for Hall of Famers. But at the same time, I want to look at individuals that will be Hall of Famers that many people are looking at, but not so much. And here are the players, and I wanted your take. Are you looking at potential Hall of Famers to potentially profit on? And I still want to pull back before I get involved in the strategy because still the pandemic has artificially raised the prices. So one player that I'm looking at, that I just started looking at, is Eli Manning. His believe his 2004 Topps card. Like a few years ago, people could have spent $10 for a PSA 10. Now I see sales all over the map, some in the hundreds, some $50, $60, whatever it is. I want to be buying Eli Manning cards because I believe he's going to be a Hall of Famer. Some people may say, oh no, he's not a Hall of Famer, but at the biggest stage, he won 2 MVPs. And on top of it, he beat Brady. And he's a likable guy, in my opinion. He has that Monday night broadcast with his brother Peyton, and he's culturally relevant. And I believe that Peyton Manning's Peyton Manning's already in the Hall of Fame, but I believe Eli's gonna get in despite not having the same statistics as Peyton. So that's on my radar list. Hopefully, in the next few years, we see a dip that I'm expecting, and I'm going to look at him. Another individual, Larry Fitzgerald, and he's played for a while. He's first ballot Hall of Famer. Now, I see some of his PSA 10 cards going for about $300, $400. I want those cards to go down in value before I get in. I noticed in the past that people really don't put that much money into wide receivers. And Other positions such as defensive back, running back, unless you're Barry Sanders, a lot of money always gets thrown into the alpha, right? The quarterback. And everyone thinks it's alpha and beta. No, I consider the hierarchy to be like alpha, and then most men tend to be delta males. It's out there. But regardless, like all the other supporting castmates, I want to look at some of these guys that people don't invest too much in the hobby. And I was looking at Charles Woodson cards. And because he got into the Hall of Fame, because of the pandemic, because many people are now focusing on these moves, Charles Woodson, who I believe played with did he play with the Packers? I believe. I know he went to Michigan. I remember his card just went crazy once he was announced that he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. And then I think some of his cards that were like maybe $100 went to like, was it $1,200? It was insane. And then it came down back to earth. But ultimately, if you sell before the hype, there is a profit opportunity. Just as I noticed before, Peyton Manning got into the Hall of Fame, it went back up. So, and a lot of people are saying that Peyton Manning cards are cheap. I've seen that comment here and there. I was buying Manning cards, the PSA 9, I think it's the 165 Chrome. There's somewhat of a high population size. I was buying for about $50, and they were selling for about $300 during the pandemic. I don't think those are too cheap when it's gone up, 5-6 fold within that short time frame. Now, people may disagree with me, that's fine, but I'm just looking at ROI. Other cards on my radar for a Hall of Fame category, I've noticed Ben Roethlisberger. Now, there is a debate with Roethlisberger. Some people say no, some people say yes. Ultimately, he got them a few rings. So, in my opinion, he's in the borderline, so I'm not sure if I'm going to be throwing money into him. But he's definitely on my radar, though. And once he retires, he's probably not going to be culturally relevant, so that's something that I want to definitely look at. A few other players, I noticed that J.J. Watt, no one's really buying his cards that I see on eBay right now. That may be an opportunity. I want to look for graded cards because right now when I look for J.J. Watt cards, I didn't see too many PSA 10s out there. People may have them, and that's something definitely on my radar, and he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's a good guy as well. He helps his community a lot. Other players on my list that I'm looking at, there's also Kuechly. He retired last year. I remember I had this one card I sold during the pandemic, or right around the pandemic, and I made a loss on that, but at that time I wanted to just get rid of it. I just wanted some extra cash on hand. And ultimately, he could be in the Hall of Fame. No one's really buying his cards, but if he's announced that he's going to go into the Hall of Fame, you can see just his cards go up. He is a big part of Carolina and their teams. So that's another player that I'm looking at. I'm just trying to think who else. If Antonio Brown acted rationally, then I would consider looking into his cards. But the fact is, he threw another temper tantrum today. There's no way I'm looking at him. I don't know how Mike Tomlin kept him under control in Pittsburgh. You got to give him the coach of the year multiple years in a row for keeping him under control, in my opinion. I don't know how he did it, to be honest. And a few other guys on my list for the Hall of Fame is different sports, and that is tennis, right? A lot of people have stopped buying tennis cards, and that's on my radar now. I look at Federer cards. Some of his cards have gone down over 90%. Nadal's cards have gone down over 90% from the peak, and I believe Federer's going to retire soon. So 5 years after that, he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. So if we see the big crash and you see the values continue to go lower, that is definitely on my radar. And this strategy, a lot of people don't like because it's not high. It's not the high flyer guys. It's not the NBA players of last year. But it's, in my opinion, more of a safer strategy where people will still continue to collect them because they performed at a high level. It's not a rookie or a prospect where, oh, it's a boomer bust. I do have some prospects out there, but that's not mainly my strategy. My strategy is mainly looking at players that will give me a decent ROI. And I speculate, okay, this person is most likely going to go into the Hall of Fame. And I understand people may not want to do that. And I see people saying, oh, I want to buy all these NBA players. And I'm like, okay, that's your thing. I just don't. That's just not my risk tolerance. The only NBA modern player that I was buying, this was February and January of last year, it was AD. And I was buying some of his PSA 9s for $13. I bought them in lots from Probstein. And I was selling them 2-3 months later at like $30, $35. And I think it went to $100 at one point. Now the supply has come back from PSA, so now that card is leveled off to maybe in their 20s. It's one of his rookie cards. But that's just not my type of investing for now, for modern. Now, Anthony Davis, the issue with him is he gets injured a lot. But if he plays, he's definitely going to be a Hall of Fame guy, and he's still a young guy. So, yeah, I may potentially look at basketball players, modern basketball players, but I want to see more of a dip, and it's dipped. And once again, I don't usually go into the NBA market. I look at usually football and baseball. And yeah, I'm gonna probably look into some baseball players for the Hall of Fame, but right now my focus is on football as of this moment. I hopefully will see guys like Kershaw, if their values go down, Scherzer, Verlander, if they go down to a level that I like, then I may speculate in those cards again. But as of right now, not yet. Anyways, guys, let me know what you think. What players, if you're focusing on Hall of Fame guys, I see some people talking about, hey, I invest in GOATs, I invest in Hall of Famer guys. What are you looking at? What is your goal to speculate in if the price is right? Anyways, guys, let me know what you think. Smash the like button, subscribe if you haven't, comment down below. Thanks, guys. Bye.